I had the privilege of going to a Marine base once and talking to Marines about how they plan their next move. And there's this phrase called bias towards action that I really was taken to. So the idea that you can spend all of your time thinking about what the perfect next move is, trying to plan, am I going to work at Google? Am I going to work at Microsoft? Like, which one? Like, am I going to work at McKinsey or Bain? Like, trying to figure out all, like, the next perfect move and spending a tremendous amount of time trying to figure that out. The Marines say you can spend all the time you want, but by the time you figured it out, you're dead. Okay? So, like, sometimes you need to make a trade-off of what is the action I can take with the appropriate amount of information and risk to move. Because moving and progress is what gets us to the next step. So for me, I mean, when I was in school trying to figure out what to do after college, all of my friends were interviewing at investment banks and Bain and McKinsey, and they were getting these offer letters with 6 figures. And I was like, oh my God, 6 figures right out of college is crazy. By the way, it is. And it is, right? I like, for a guy that didn't take a startup for a salary for the first 2 years of, founding Bourbon/Instagram, it was really harrowing to think that people can have such a salary out of college, and you're going to go take not a great job, right? That you're going to do something that's a little riskier. It turns out, and I mean, don't quote me on this because your parents will kill me, it's all going to be fine. Okay, when I told my parents that I was going to go do a startup, and I know we're all a bit older here, but when I told my parents I was going to do a startup, they're like, what about health insurance? And I was like, oh, that's a good point. What about health insurance? So thank you, parents, for making me think of that. So let's see here. It was scary, but that bias towards action was there's no perfect next move. You just need to know that by moving and learning, it all adds up. That summation of your experience over the last N years is what makes you into the thing tomorrow that will be successful. And it just takes trying and trying and trying again. I mean, Instagram filters came from a photography class that I took in Florence, where my photography teacher gave me a square format camera called a Holga. It's this plastic camera that got kind of hip with hipsters. And anyway, he handed it to me and he said, you should use this. And as we were developing the film, he's like, you can change the look of the image if you put these chemicals in the bath when you're developing the print. And I was like, interesting. So, you put it in and the colors start changing to this interesting purple. And I started thinking to myself, oh my God, this is awesome. I'm going to do it on all my prints. And every time I made a print, every one of the people in that class were like, the prints are so cool. That idea lay dormant for 5 years. So every little experience you have, you may not give credit to, but it turns out is super important for being foundational in your startup going forward. And you'll end up kind of figuring out how it takes form in your startup going forward. But each and every little experience adds up.